Friday. Welcome in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. That is Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. Hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Mr. Taz, Adams, Exploits, Eagles fans, Tyler, the first to jump in. We appreciate you in the chat. Gunner, what's up, my man? How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
I'm great. I am great, man. I get to be hanging out with you for 3 hours. How could I be any better?
You know what? I know you say it facetiously,
I know.
but I agree with you. I'm just kidding. Hey, man, last night, you know how it was. So today is officially my oldest daughter husband's birthday, but last night we had the cookout at his house, and he was out there. He was doing double burger patties, all this, and then his uncle, who lives next door to him, brought incredible shrimp and wings from this seafood place down there where they live.
Nice.
And, dude, it was like, so we ate first, and then it was probably like 7 o'clock before we hit the pool. They have a beautiful in-ground pool. Yeah. Dude, let me tell you, the water was perfect.
Yes.
To take the Nestea plunge. he has this like
that's a good evening, man. That is a good evening right there.
He has this floating ball, and you just throw it on the water surface to get the water temperature.
Can you raise it and turn it down too, lower it as well?
No. It's just a ball. It tells you what the water temperature is.
Oh, it's like a thermostat. Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
Like a thermostat. The water temperature was 89 degrees. It didn't even feel like it. It was perfect, dude.
That's the way I like it. I'm with you. I like bath water, man. That's good for me. I like it like bath water. I'm telling you, man. I
thought I was the only one like that. A few years ago, we went to Myrtle Beach in June to see my brother perform at Legends in concert. He does Bob Marley tribute.
Right.
So, of course, we hit the Myrtle Beach beaches there. You know how hot it is when you get to the south.
Woo.
I'm thinking the water's going to be like here. You got to step in and gradually go up to. You walked in, it was like bath water. The ocean was like bath water, but it was like 95 degrees, but the water was perfect.
Yes.
For me.
Yep.
I thought I was the only crazy guy that like warmer water like that.
I'm the same way, man. I don't want to have to take 15 minutes to get in there because it's so cold. Like your legs are getting numb. I'm not. That's not my kind of scene. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's
of course you get in the water, and the grandkids want you to hold them. So it's not like you can just get in there and holding one, and then the other wants to show you that with the floaties they're trying to swim. The 2-year-old, I'm swimming. Okay, all right. Anyway, and then the baby wants you to hold, and I'm like, but it was perfect. I have no complaints. It was perfect.
Good man. What's up, Thomas? What's up, William? What's up, Tyler? Mr. Taz, Jim G, Fitness Rebel, Kevin. Father Sean, what's up, Eagles fan? Hope you guys doing good. Yeah, I that was the weird thing for me about California. It was beautiful. The beaches were beautiful. The water was beautiful. The water was freezing in California. And it doesn't get and this is good in general that it doesn't get like super muggy and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I wanted it a little bit warmer on the beach. Like you needed almost like I don't know, like one of those like sort of long sleeve dry fits. It was kind of windy and chilly. I'm like, I like to be a little hotter. I want to go in the ocean, and nobody's in the ocean.
This Pacific is always colder than the Atlantic. Yeah. And in San Diego, even in June, July, and August, the water's colder. Now, once you get to July and August in San Diego, when you go to Mission Beach and places like that, La Jolla, it takes you a little while. Once you get in the water and get past that initial chill, the water's fine, but it hits you right away, man.
Yeah.
But people who go out there surfboarding in March and April, like up in San Francisco, no.
You better have your wetsuit on if you're doing that kind of stuff,
Marina Sands brings up a good point. I had never heard this before. I saw this on a news report last week. The water in Florida hit the Keys hit 100 degrees. Can you imagine the Atlantic Ocean 100 degrees? Yes, they're saying the water surface temperature is hotter than it's been in decades. Wow. And I'm like, okay, that's a little too warm.
I'm not talking 100. No, thank you. No.
No,
I'm good.
The water off Miami, Adams Exploits, 90s. Yep, it was 90s to 100. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's too much. You're right. That is a little bit too much. But Friday here, we're going to get a break actually Sunday, Derek. It's going to be like 83, something like that. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing because this is hot. And like we talked about yesterday, all the folks who got to work outside, man, pets.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's tough, man.
Why is Mr. Taz trying to stir up trouble? I think he wrote this just for you, Rob. You see what Mr. Taz just wrote?
The Eagles have extended special teams coordinator for a 20-year, $600. Yeah, that's about right. That sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But interesting day today because you had a bunch of folks speaking at Eagles practice, Sean Desai among them. Yeah. So I'll get to him in a minute. What I thought was really interesting is Darius Slay talked to the people talked to the media a little bit earlier, and they asked him about Matt Patricia, and he said the Eagles reached out to him because they were thinking about bringing Patricia on. He told them he was good. He said he and Patricia had a one-on-one conversation. Man-to-man is the way he put it. He said it was a great conversation. They're both on the same page. They both want to win, and nobody's looking back. I was talking to Tone about this before the show. Like, Slay is not a guy who's up there looking to give you some polished yearbook answer. He's going to give you what he feels. So when he says it, I buy it. So that's good. I mean, I think it was handled well all around. The Eagles reached out to him. They didn't just surprise him with it. Hey, you cool with this? Blah, blah, blah. And all good. So that's a very mature team thinking way to go about things, I think.
Or more importantly, they didn't force it on him. They didn't go to him and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Are you okay with it? If not, then we might have to try to move you. No. They handled it like professionals, and that's what you do. And players respect that.
Yeah.
See,
I agree.
That's that respect that is constant in that Eagles organization, in that locker room.
Yeah.
You know what? We treat you like men. And you can't say that about every organization.
Mm-hmm.
Some organizations still has players have to buy their own socks and stuff. You have to pay for your own meals, on the compound. I was like, what?
That was the way it was before Jeffrey Lurie. Norman Brayman made those guys pay for socks. I'm telling you, it's crazy, but that is the way it used to. Ask Seth and some of those guys. It's crazy. So I thought that was good. A couple other things before I get to the side. So I'm good with this. Some people may not like this, but I like this. Jalen Carter said his goal is to be the defensive rookie of the year.
Good.
Set it high, man. Let's go. Like that's where I'm at. I want him. I don't want him to just say, hey, maybe I'll get a couple snaps or maybe no. You know what? Good. Let's go dominate.
Long as he doesn't come out and say something like, I feel I'm the best defensive player coming out of this class, period.
He didn't say that. He didn't say
that. No, I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with having lofty goals. And if you achieve that goal, dude, you can walk on water in the city of Philadelphia.
Yep.
If you can back up, obviously there's a lot of variables involved, in terms of snaps, production, things like that. But still, if you can back up what you make, when you make a statement like that, Philadelphians love to hear stuff like that. That's what they want to hear.
Yep.
This is a straight blue collar town. Roll up your sleeves, put your hand in the dirt, work hard, get your own rewards. You work hard, we respect you type town. This is exactly what they want to hear.
Yep. Amen. I thought that was good. All right, a couple things from Desai. One of the things I thought was really encouraging is he mentioned how impressed he was with Jordan Davis's physical condition and the way that he reported. So he came in ready to roll. Of course, that's one of the biggest questions with him is he going to be, look, and you're talking about a big man out there working in this heat. So I'm glad to hear the reported in shape because I almost feel like that's half the battle for him. If he's ready to go physically and can withstand all those snaps, the sky's the limit here with Jordan Davis.
I think his biggest motivation had to be, number one, he missed significant time last year. He missed a couple of stints, one with an ankle, one with a concussion. Number two, he was a non-factor in that Super Bowl. And I think I would think that would be his biggest motivation. Look, I was the 13th player overall taken last year. I didn't live up to expectations coming from one of the premier programs in all of college football, coming off a national championship. There was high expectations of me. I have high expectations of myself now to go out and prove it. I would like to know how much weight did he lose? I like to know, he was at 340. Is he 330? Is he below 330? Is he faster? Does he seem to be quicker off the snap? We're going to hear those reports eventually. But that I would like to have heard Desai say some of those things as well.
Same. And Kevin Savard mentions Fletcher Cox, big influence. Yeah, Fletcher Cox talked about this. And he said, basically, look, I really want to mentor these guys. I want to be a good leader for them. They're basically the guys of the future here. But, it's one of the reasons why you bring him back. And I know people think they may have overpaid a little bit for him, $10 million, whatever it was. But I think you needed some veterans, especially inside there, the interior, just from a playing standpoint. But also, the wisdom that he and Brandon Graham and those guys can impart and pass down because you are young in a lot of spots. Jordan Davis, Carter, and Nolan Smith are all going to be asked to, and Nakobe Dean are all going to be asked to do stuff, and they're very young players. So, it's big if those guys are willing to take on that kind of role, because look, not everybody is. Some guys just out for themselves, and that, it's just the way their personality is. But it's good to hear from Fletcher.
I can remember 7-8 years ago when a lot of the veteran presidents in their locker room would say, I'm not a verbal person. I lead by example. Yep. And I would always say, you got to have a few guys who are not afraid to get in people's faces, especially if you're a highly decorated player, Pro Bowler, individual accolades, not afraid to get into people's faces and call them out if they're not living up to standard. This is a role that Fletcher grew into. He was one of those players who wanted to lead by example. Mm-hmm. But I think at this stage of his career, especially coming off a second Super Bowl that did not end in a win, Fletcher can see he's almost at the end of the finish line of his career and wants that one more chance at glory in the sun. So now he's become more of a verbal leader, more of a mentor. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's understandable because he can look around and see we've got a good young nucleus here to go with the veteran presence. Mm-hmm. And if I can help any way, shape, or form that these guys get up to speed, so be it. Fletcher's like Brandon Graham, hasn't come out and said it, but he's secure in his status with this team. Even if his snaps are reduced, he's made his money. He has a ring. Now it's for one more moment of glory in the sun. So good for him for taking that upon himself to become that mentor to the younger guys and to get them up to speed as quick as possible.
Yeah. Around the NFL, the last of the first of the draft picks are signed. Number 5 overall, Devin Witherspoon, so that's all of last season's 259 draft picks are now signed. He reached an agreement with the Seahawks today, 4 years, $31.86 million, $20.17 million signing bonus. So he'll be in Seahawks camp. He was the only guy left. So everybody else is locked and loaded. This is one of the things that is way better about the NFL now than it was back in the day.
Yep.
With the way this thing is slotted.
Yep.
You don't have these rookies, who you're unable to reach an agreement with. It hurts everybody. It hurts the team. It hurts the rookie. He's coming in right before the season or into the season, and he's behind everybody. None of that stuff exists anymore. That's so much better that way.
I would imagine people might say, well, why is Witherspoon still holding out if the money's slotted? I would imagine they were going back and forth on the guaranteed money more than anything else.
That's exactly right.
The number is already slotted. That's not going to change. But how much money are you guaranteeing my client? So, the fact that he's probably missed a couple of days of training camp, he'll catch up. Will he start? Yeah, that's on him. And how quickly he can adapt to this level and the concepts they're asking him to perform.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Did you see what Micah Parsons had to say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was on 105.3, The Fan in Dallas. He said he believes the Cowboys are the top team over the Eagles and the 49ers. He said, quote, "You look at our game last year, that's a game that we could have won. We beat ourselves with mistakes." He's talking about how they got eliminated. I think we're the only team that gained players. We didn't lose a former Eagle and now 49er defensive tackle, Javon Hargrave, and then draft somebody. We have everybody across the board. When you talked about years playing together, years of experience, I think we're up there as the better team. All right. Okay. I mean, I'm not shocked. Nobody should be surprised. He's an outspoken guy, but okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? Go out and prove it now. I mean, if you think about it, they were eliminated by the 49ers in the playoffs. They could have won that game, except for some bonehead calls made, a few boneheaded calls. They could have won that game.
Sure.
It could have been Dallas. But you know what? The bottom line is you didn't win.
Yes.
Plain and simple. You didn't win. So, you're right. They basically have the same nucleus of players coming back, plus they've added Brandon Cook, Stephon Gilmore. Now you've got to go out and do it. I guarantee you, when it gets to the Eagles-Cowboys week, that's going to be brought up again, especially depending on what the records are.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll
be revisited. That's for sure.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait. Good bulletin board. We're sitting here in late July. We already got good bulletin board material for the Cowboys-Eagles.
Amen.
I love it.
Amen. I do too. All right. Beyond that, Gunner, a couple other things. Injuries around the NFL. And we'll get more into this later. But Jalen Ramsey, torn meniscus. He will miss the start of the season, but they're thinking 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere around there. If this ends up just being he misses 2-3 games, they got to be thrilled, with that development, right? So that's the first part. The other one, I don't know what to make of it. Like, the longer we don't hear anything, the longer I wonder about it. But Joe Burrow leaves practice yesterday. He's rolling to his right, non-contact, goes down, grabbing the leg. He already had a sleeve, like a brace on the lower leg anyway. Carted off. It's a calf, but we haven't heard any kind of real updates. I will say this. The Bengals Twitter account put something out there, which makes me think it's maybe not super serious, or else they wouldn't have been joking about this. I don't know if you saw this. So this is about 2 hours ago. They tweeted out, it was pretty funny. Everyone, please stop calling and offering us your calf muscles. It doesn't work like that. Joey will be back. So I don't, that tells me maybe it's not that serious if they're joking. I don't know, but we haven't heard anything yet.
I thought it was interesting. I saw that one of the national reporters got a quote from an anonymous coach who said, "I hate the first 2 weeks of training camp." And basically, because of the limitations of practice times, it takes the body that much longer to shock itself back into playing shape, which means players are more susceptible. You get out there the first day of training camp, and you're asking your body to cut on a dime the way you would in mid-season, and your body's not woken up yet, and you get these tendon injuries, you get these calf injuries, you get these knee injuries, so on and so forth. That's why the volume of injuries across the board in training camps leading into the early part of regular seasons continue to rise. The percentage continues to rise because you're not able to do with your body what you did before this new collective bargaining agreement. Right. So a lot of coaches around the league hold their breath. They hold their collective breath. Please do not let one of my primetime players, they don't want any player to go down, but especially a frontline player.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It changes. Everything can change in a second. Everything, your entire season can change, can flip on a dime in 1 second. But yeah, crazy. So we'll keep you posted on that. Phillies are at the Pirates for a 3-game set starting tonight. We'll talk to Scott Lauber a little bit later. We also have the trade deadline looming. It's August 1st. So it's coming quick, Derek. We are getting close here as we're July 28th. So that's coming up, and we'll see if they can get back on track tonight. But the pitching matchup set up pretty nicely for them. You go Wheeler, Nola, and then Sanchez, in this series. So that's what they have coming up. All right, Eagles question.
Wheeler and Nola should dominate the Pirates.
They should.
Plain and simple.
They should
dominate the Pirates.
Yep.
When you look at where the Pirates are statistically, they're one of the lower teams in the majors across the board. Yep. When it comes to home runs, RBIs, batting average. We talked about how Milwaukee had the worst batting average in the National League, yet Milwaukee has one of the best pitching staffs, and that's why they're where they are. Mm-hmm. The Pirates continue to send out a bunch of kids, and the borderline good players they have every year, they trade them off to somewhere else. Pirates were up there. They were talking baseball in May. They were leading the division. Now they're
they had a great start. Yep.
Yeah. Now they're right where everybody expected them to be, at the bottom of the barrel in their division. So there's no way that when you talk about Wheeler and Nola, that they shouldn't go out and at least have great weekends against this particular team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. This is where you got to get out of those bad habits and those bad trends of playing down to the level of the competition. This is where you have to start to show that you are that team, the team that's going to separate itself a little bit and handle your business against the bad teams, like plain and simple. All right, Eagles question. You ready?
No,
you're not ready. All right.
No, I'm ready.
Ready or not, here we come. All right, here's the question. Which defensive player who's unknown? Now, I use the word unknown in quotes, okay? The unknown part is basically first-year guy, second-year guy who didn't get a lot of playing time last year. Examples would be the obvious. Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Reed Blankenship, et al., okay? Any of those guys. Of that group, which player will have the biggest impact this season in your estimation?
Will have the biggest season?
Biggest season, yeah.
I would have to say it's Jalen Carter. We're only a couple of days in the training camp, and all we've heard about is how he gets off the ball. He would have had a couple of sacks in 2 seconds had he been allowed to attack the quarterback. Then he comes out and says he wants to win, defensive rookie of the year. I think he's the most intriguing out of all of these because of all the hype surrounding him coming in. So I would have to say, plus he's got a big hole to fill in Javon Hargrave. And the Eagles moved up to take him. They moved up a couple of spots to get him at the number 9 hole. So I think because of all the accolades that were bestowed upon him coming into the draft, the Eagles getting him, the hype, and let's just face it, the hype is going to continue every day in training camp. He's going to be a name mentioned just about every day in training camp, especially when they start playing against other teams and in the practice sessions leading up to a preseason game. I think the hype for him is bigger than any other of those players that you put in that category.
I would agree with you with Jalen Carter. I think he's going to have the biggest impact. I think he's going to be I think we're going to look at him going into next year and say, this guy's got the potential to be a Pro Bowler after this season. He's got a really good shot at Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think his goals are proper. I would say Carter. I would say in terms of the guy who's going to surprise us the most, I don't know if he can be a surprise because he was a first-round pick, but I think Nolan Smith will make it a real impact this year.
I agree.
I think he's going to, be not just an afterthought in that rotation on that defensive line. I think he's going to be a guy who really contributes. So I think we're going to come away from this season saying the Eagles killed it in the first round of the draft, getting these two guys.
Who better for Nolan Smith to learn under than Hassan Reddick, who's had double-digit sacks with 3 consecutive teams in consecutive years. Yeah. In terms of learning all the little tricks, the little nuances to get advantage of an offensive tackle or a tight end lined up over you. He's got the best mentor he could possibly have in a situation like this. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think we're going to look back. And I think also, Rob, it can't just be based on numbers.
Yeah.
It's based on presence, ability. I think there's one stat that's overlooked is pressures on a quarterback. Because when you get good, consistent pressure, you're forcing a quarterback to do certain things he wants to do before that mechanism kicks in to get rid of the football. If you can speed up his mental clock in terms of timing routes, just when things click for him, that's almost as good as getting a sack. I know people love to see the sack totals and stuff like that, but pressures have become vital strategy in the NFL game today, with this being such a passing league. And then we saw that the Eagles did get 70 sacks, but look at how many times they forced quarterbacks to get rid of a football and move their feet a lot more than they wanted to, just because a quarterback knew pressure's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, listen, you're right. And it's always important, but it's all the more essential this year because you do have some question marks on the back end. You don't know about your safeties right now. And a pass rush can really cover up some things early. And that's where I think early, we talked about this a lot yesterday, Derek, but I don't think the defense is going to come out of the gate as strong as they're going to be later, but I still think they can rush the passer, and that could really cover up some things while guys get accustomed to the NFL level or get accustomed to this new defense or whatever the case may be. So I think that part of it's really, really big. The pass rush to me is so critical. Think about last year, what they were able to accomplish getting those 70 sacks and how early on, really for the first, I don't know, I have to go back and look at it, but it felt like the first 10, 12 weeks, they were also led the league in takeaways. Yeah. So I think that could really be the case too. If they're getting after the quarterback.
Look at the speed, just the speed alone they have on defense. Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean. These are a lot of speed. Derek Barnett. There's a lot of speed up on that defensive front. Yep. It's going to be another NASCAR type defense.
Yep.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Can they get the job done? We think they can. We're going to find out. Because you're playing a collection of smarter quarterbacks than you played last year. And obviously the smarter quarterbacks are groomed by smarter offensive coordinators, or they wouldn't be in those positions. Mm-hmm. So even though they don't know what a Deshaun Desai defense is going to look like, they have enough tape on some of the personnel that's playing that defense to try to combat this. Can this Eagles defense get home with the frequency they did last year? Man, that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see this defense perform with those guys up front again.
Same way. One last note here. Derek Barnett restructured his deal. And usually, when you hear these restructures, it's just sort of like, money moved. He took a pay cut, basically. So his previous deal, he was due $7.5 million this year, 1.5 guaranteed, with up to $1 million per game bonuses, max at 8.5. Now, he's due $3.5 million guaranteed with $250 in game and up to 2.25 in incentives. It depends on where the money's coming from, but I think he was a candidate for a restructure because of how high the base salary was, and this is the kind of stuff that Howie does, and it makes sense. It's something that felt like it was only kind of a matter of time here when you saw what his base. I think a couple other guys could be in line for that too.
Well,
but
it also tells me that people who all through the summer felt that Derek Barnett was going to be trade bait. This tells me that the Eagles want him here.
Yeah.
Tells me that they want him to be a part of what they're trying to accomplish, and he adds depth. If he can come all the way back and come off that knee injury, I think he's going to be vital to that rotation up front as well, especially in passing situations. Let's face it, the Eagles are not a team that just give up on players right away. Mm-hmm. Especially when they invest first-round picks of them. No story better. Can't emphasize enough what they did with Brandon Graham is legendary. I mean, they very easily could have given up on him early in his career. They did. Yeah. They saw something we all overlooked, And here he is today, one of the favorites. He'll go down as one of the all-time favorites in this city. And they're doing everything possible. They can give Derek Barnett another chance to redeem himself.
Yeah.
If he can eliminate the mental aspects of what got him in trouble in the past in 2021, he's got the physical attributes to be a significant contributor in his defense. And that's what I think the Eagles are banking on, that he's showing maturity. They've had the discussions of, look, we can't have you doing this time and play in and play out. You've got to be mentally sharper and on point. And now it's on him. See, Mr. Tass is wrong again, Diego. We'll see. We'll see. Because when I talk to these players and other people inside the organization, they have a lot of high hopes for Derek Barnett. They're not about to give up on him yet. We've seen spurts of him being able to be disruptive.
This is a make or break. I don't think there's any doubt it's a make or break for him this year. That's for sure. Yeah. As far as his Eagles career. All right, let's come back and by the way, our greatest series, we will do the Philadelphia Eagles today. So that'll be coming up in a little bit. When we come back, we will continue to focus on the defense here because it was kind of a defensive day at the NovaCare complex today. So we'll look back at what they did well, what they struggled with last year, some other news and notes from the first couple of days, who's looked good, who hasn't looked good, who struggled a little bit. We'll do all those kind of things when we come back. So don't go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Bravo Pizza of Havertown, proud sponsors of both Sports Take and JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Been going there since I was a kid. They are family owned since 1985. They have just a great crew there with Alex and all the guys. They're in there 7 days a week, just cranking out the best possible food that you could have, fresh, flour flown in from Italy. They have 20 different styles of pizza. They have slices to go. I also love the fact that they'll make it the way that you want it, that specialized pizza your way. But if it's just not your what you're looking for tonight or whenever, and you're not up for a little pizza, they have fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. They're also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for schools, charities, little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You can follow them at the Bravo Pizza of Havertown on Instagram and Facebook for daily specials and promotions. They're at 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. That's 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown. Give them a call right now, 610-446-3810. 610-446-3810. Here's a little sampling of Bravo Pizza of Havertown.